Pete Williams, it's important to underscore what was underscored to me by intelligence officials and federal officials in the last couple of days. We're talking about what they call American persons. The younger brother is a citizen. The older brother was a legal permanent resident. There are limits to what federal law enforcement and intelligence can do with American citizens in terms of tracking them, which leads to this other point, which is Jahar, now hospitalized, survived. He's an American citizen, naturalized 9/11 of last year. Should he be given Miranda rights? Should he be treated as an enemy combatant? That debate has started. Tell me the facts first of what they'll do.
Well, this administration has made a policy decision here. First, that's number one. Secondly, he cannot be tried as an enemy combatant in a military tribunal because that law was changed by the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012 that says you can't do that to an American citizen. What some advocates, Republicans, are saying, such as Lindsey Graham, are, we understand they say, we understand he's going to be tried in civilian court, but start the questioning. Treat him as an enemy combatant under the law of war. Question him by intelligence people. Get all the intel you can. Then turn him over to the civilian authorities. That's what they advocate. That's not going to happen, the administration has decided. He'll be questioned first by this special group that's been set up in the last couple of years in terror cases called the High Value Detainee Interrogation Group, FBI, CIA, DOD. They will question him without giving him his Miranda warning. They don't have a long time to do that, probably no more than maybe a day or so. Then he'll be given his Miranda warning, and we'll see if he continues to talk. In other terrorism cases, surprisingly, these people do keep talking.
Mike Rogers, Chairman, do you have a view about how he should be treated in the criminal justice system, or should he be an enemy combatant?
Well, he's a citizen of the United States. I think that brings all of the protections of the U.S. Constitution. Under the public safety exception, however, I do believe that the FBI has a period of time to try to determine what threats are there today. We don't know if there's other devices. We don't know if there's other people. And I think Mirandizing them up front would be a horrible idea. Now, it's my understanding that that's not going to happen. I've had good conversations with the FBI. They're going to do their due diligence on the public safety portion. Here's where the problem is. They're getting pressure from outside groups to actually do the Mirandizing, which is why we ought to let the FBI do their work. They can do an intelligence-based investigation leading up. And remember, Mirandizing is just about making sure that any of that information that they get prior to that Mirandizing that the subject might give them can't be used in court. I think I could make this case without a confession from this guy. There is a period of time we don't need his confession up front. We need the information that he has to make sure that America is safe. Now, if we let the FBI do that the way I think they want to do it, that would be the right solution here, and it would be prudent for the safety of Bostonians and around the rest of the country. There's a lot we need to understand about if this was a lone wolf sent back or were there others sent back. That much we just don't know yet.
Can I pull this conversation out a little bit to talk about, as I framed at the beginning, did this change something? Does it change how we think about securing America? Mike Chertoff, former Secretary of Homeland Security, we go through the reality. As I've talked to you over the years, this is something that people in your line of work have been expecting for a long time after 9/11. And look at what our recent history shows us. We've prepared this graphically about plots that have not succeeded or somehow been thwarted. You go back to the so-called shoe bomber in December of 2001, Richard Reed. And then you had Nazi planning to attack subways before he's arrested back in September of 2009. You have the Christmas Day bomber, so-called, tries to blow up a flight, but he wasn't able to light the bomb. Then you have a successful plot by Shahzad in Times Square, except the bomb doesn't go off. Everything else worked. The bomb didn't go off, so obviously it was not successful. We know from authorities in New York they've helped to foil 16 plots against the city. The face of terror has changed in some ways, and this plot, this attack in Boston represents that.
Well, I think we've said for years that we knew that as we elevated our security at the airports and the obvious major high-consequence targets, there'd be a move towards what we call softer targets, targets that are harder to protect, maybe fewer people, but where you can still kill and maim a lot of people. Now, we've seen a lot of efforts. We know that al-Qaeda and similar ideological groups try to find Americans or Westerners who are capable of moving in our society without being detected. And it was only a matter of time that one of these days a plot like this would be successful. I don't think it calls for radical change in our strategy. I think we've built a strategy anticipating this. Resilience is a big part of this, and we saw that work very well in Boston. There will be, I think, and I hope, a review of everything that's gone on to see whether, in fact, there was something that we should have done differently. But I don't think, again, it's a fundamental shift in strategy.
I want to bring in Senator Dick Durbin, the Assistant Majority Leader from Illinois. Of course, he joins us this morning. And, Senator, as you think about the political impact of this, the impact of policy and debate on securing the country, the Minority Leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, said the other day that we have, because of the work of our military and our law enforcement officials, fallen into a place of complacency. Do you agree?
Not at all. Not at all. And listen, I spoke to the FBI director yesterday, Bob Mueller, and he talked about the extraordinary efforts by our intelligence agencies and law enforcement in the capture of these two individuals. Think about it. Less than a week ago, this tragedy occurred, and how quickly they mobilized and worked effectively to find these two people. And let me also add this. I understand that those of us in political life should comment. That's our responsibility on policy questions, larger policy questions. When it comes down to the basic decision as to how to go forward to investigate this case and prepare it for trial, remember this: since 9/11, we have had hundreds, literally hundreds of terrorism cases successfully prosecuted through our court system. A handful, 6 cases, have gone through military commissions. So I can understand where President Bush and President Obama have given to the Department of Justice the authority to move forward with the type of process that we have going on